Speakeasy, the student voice.
In today's Speakizy episode, we are going to discuss segregation in USA and the icon figures who fought against segregation. Segregation was a period during 1876 and 1964 when black people were separated from white people. It was legalized by the Jim Crow laws of 1866. Some black people fought against it and the discrimination they had to live with. Since it was Black History Month in February, we found it important to talk about the African Americans' long battle to obtain the civil rights they deserved.
Speakeasy. Speakeasy.
Speakeasy.
Let's begin with the American President of USA who granted the first right to Afro-American by banishing slavery, namely Abraham Lincoln.
He was born in 1809 in Kentucky. His parents weren't rich and never read, so he was self-educated and became a lawyer. Then in 1860 he became the 60th president of the USA. He disallowed slavery in the northern states, but the southern states seceded from the nation, so in 1861 the Civil War started. In 1865 the northern states won the Civil War and slavery was abolished. A few months later, he was shot at the theater by John Wilkes Booth. In the 1860s, the Ku Klux Klan was created, and in 1876, the Jim Crow laws were signed, and segregation started in the southern states.
Thanks, Angelo. Now let's hear about the famous Rosa Parks, the woman who refused to give her seat so others could stand out.
Rosa Parks was born in February 4, 1913 in Alabama. One day in 1955, in an America torn apart by racial segregation, Rosa Parks boarded a bus in Montgomery, Alabama after a long day of work. As usual, the bus was divided into two sections, one for white passengers at the front and one for black passengers at the back, because black people weren't allowed to sit with white people. But this time, when the white people section became full, the driver asked someone of the black people to give up their seat to white passengers. Rosa Parks was tired of this injustice and refused to give up her seat. Her act of resistance had an impact on the sparked a protest movement. Leaders of the movement like Martin Luther King Jr. organized a boycott of the Montgomery bus in support. For over a year, black people in Montgomery chose to work instead of taking the bus in a fight against segregation. Eventually, the United States Supreme Court declared bus segregation unconstitutional. The rebellion and then the arrests of Rosa Parks therefore led to Martin Luther King Jr.'s first victory in favor of civil rights, and both became emblematic figures in the fight against racial segregation in the United States. Rosa Parks would later write in her autobiography, which entitled "My Story," I quote, "They always say that I didn't give up my seat because I was tired, but that's not true. I was physically tired. No, I was only tired of one thing. I was tired of giving up." On October 25, 2005, Rosa Parks died at the age of 92. This story made her an American civil rights activist for segregation in the United States. She refused to give up her seat so thousands of other people could stand out.
Thank you, Carter. And now, last but not the least, let's hear Kezia about Martin Luther King Jr., the man who always chose love and peace instead of violence and hatred.
Martin Luther King Jr. was born on January 15 of 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia. He was raised by his mother, Alberta William King, and his father, Martin Luther King Sr., a pastor. He grew up during segregation and first experienced it when two of his white playmates told him they weren't allowed to play with him anymore. His mother then explained to him that it was because they would attend a different school than him, as black and white children were not allowed to go to the same school. Martin Luther King fought for African Americans' civil rights while staying peaceful because, like he declared during his I Have a Dream speech, "We will not resort to violence, we will not degrade ourselves with hatred, love will not be returned with hate." Martin Luther King led the one-year-long Montgomery bus boycott after Rosa Parks had been arrested for not giving her seat. During this boycott, he fought to defend the right to vote of African Americans and for desegregation. In 1963, he delivered the famous I Have a Dream speech in front of the Lincoln Memorial during the March for Jobs and Freedom. In 1964, he received a Nobel Peace Prize for his pacifist fight against segregation, and in 1968, he started fighting against poverty and the Vietnam War until he was assassinated on April 4 in Memphis, Tennessee. All his life, Martin Luther King fought for African Americans' rights so his children could be able to grow in a nation where they wouldn't feel judged because of the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
Thank you, Kezia. So we saw that desegregation was the work of multiple brave men and women who fought all their life for freedom while never giving up, so millions of people could live freely in the United States.
Speakeasy. Speakeasy.
Speakeasy.
Thank you all. Now, let's listen to Angelo, Carter, Kezia, and I, who are gonna read the famous I Have a Dream speech of Martin Luther King.
Read easy? Make it easy to read. Let's make it fun.
On August 28th of 1963, Martin Luther King delivered his I Have a Dream speech to explain how the United States should treat black people. Let's listen to an extract of it.
I have dreamed that one day, on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slaves owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood.
I have a dream that one day even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice.
I have a dream that my 4 little children will not live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
I have a dream that one day down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having its lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day right down in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today.
Speakeasy. Speakeasy.
Speakeasy.
This is the end. Thanks for listening and stay tuned for
for
upcoming shows.
Speakeasy, the student voice.